Oh, she's a noisy band on 40 metres. Thought I would just have a little quick look. Okay, 3 Charlie Mike. Never. Oh, they do hear me. This is the FTDX3000, and I'm just actually calling in on the Candos net on 7093 for a bit of a test. And they're a interesting radio because, quite seriously, I've always wondered whether or not, did I really get as much value buying an FTDX 101MP over the FTDX 3000? Now, I've owned a lot of FTDX 3000s, and I've got to tell you, the answer is yes, there are some features of the FTDX 101. I'll just see if Pete's going to call me in. Yeah, good stuff. VK2, AOK, Port 4, VK3, Charlie Mike. Just testing an FTDX 3000 at the moment and putting you on a bit of video at the same time. But yeah, look, coming in really well. But I'll tell you what, we've got some black clouds out there. I'm just showing the viewers at the moment outside. They're big black clouds coming in out the window. So I think it's going to be a fun night on 80 if anyone tries that. I'm going to give it a miss tonight. I think it's just going to be all noise. But anyway, 5 and 9, just on a bit of wire at the moment. VK2, AOK, Port 4, VK3, Charlie Mike.
Yeah, okay, Bruce, you're a 58 to 59, and yeah, I think 80 metres will be a wipeout for sure or not.
I think it will be.
Noise on this is a real flash over. Okay, we'll give you a shout a bit later. I'll take them about in the shed there. Otherwise, have a great weekend.
Okay.
PBR,
Just a bit of an example of, turn that down a bit, how these work on air. So back to my comments on the FTDX 3000. For a radio that you can buy for $1,600–1,700 second hand these days, and in this sort of condition with boxes and everything, I reckon it's good buying. They really are. They're holding their price extremely well, and I think that's because they're just so popular. And just remembering, these radios when they first came out were a $3,000 plus price tag. So they've come down a bit since then, of course. But this one's just a one that'll go to market at some stage. But I thought I'd just run it up and actually have a bit of fun with it, because we don't get to have enough fun with a lot of the radios we're playing with, and play with all the roofing filters and bits and pieces. And as you'll see, quite a few functions on these things. Obviously CW. Now, I'm wondering if I hold that. No, it's just single operation. Yeah. Let's just keep it at 3 kilohertz for the moment. Now, obviously, you've got a few functions. You've got your band scope on the bottom there, which is actually quite nice. You can go into your scope as a full scope function, keeping an eye on the band with all its details on the bottom. So you've got your frequency over there. So if you do go to a full scope display, it's not like you can't see what frequency you're on. I'll just turn the boys down just a little bit. A lot of other functions on these that really are worth having a look at. The IPO is very good on noisy days, just to be able to sort of knock that noise down. See how that noise level just drops down? You can see the whole noise level there dropping, but so does the signal. But often you'll find IPO. Isn't that a much nicer, cleaner signal to listen to? Then we get all this noise back in there. So sometimes using your IPO, even though there's less signal, it's just easier. Sometimes you can even attenuate and cause the same thing to happen. It's quite interesting. All right, let's go back to normal scope, because obviously you don't need to be looking at your scope all that much. They do keep an AF scope as far as looking at audio, also looking at the frequency. You can keep an eye on your contour width, notch and shift controls as well. So look, overall, very good. Geez, this noise is really terrible. Maybe turn the noise maker on. That's probably not a bad idea. So coming across the other side, I mean, look, all these controls here: mic, notch, shift, AF, RF. Look, you pretty know them inside out. One of the buttons they do hide a little bit. If you look at this very quickly, and I just do a run through, and I do a run through back, maybe not so fast this time. Did anybody see where the mode selection is? The AM, upper, lower, sideband, and that's very true. But once you own one, you know exactly where it is, which is down here, and you just go mode, etc., etc. Sorry, that might be better if I just do it like that. So this can get you through. Now, let's say you're on AM, you want to go to FM, hold in for 1 second. To do the opposite, exactly the same. Same with upper lower, hold in for a second, hold in for a second to reverse. So, you know what? I quite like it because it's not something. Most times when you go to a band, it's preset to the mode that's you're going to be using anyway. So it's not really a big issue as a sideband operator. Obviously, if you use CW or if you're going to use some AM, etc., you've got to switch modes. Over this side, really, we just got keypad entry over here, so we can enter, then put a frequency in, which I won't do that for the moment. I'll just leave that off. Band selection. So as we go through, etc., etc., blah blah blah. So quite a reasonable radio. A lot of controls on the side here for your memory operations, for your split operations. To do split is very easy on these. So if you're looking to do some 29.6 stuff or some strange offsets, very easy to set up for sure. They do have a manual switch right there, so that does quite good. All right, well, that's nice to sort of see that, that's a beautiful working radio on air. Let's see what it does on the monitor and see if it actually makes any watts. Okay, so what I've done for ease, I've set up the antenna switch so that basically that's on antenna, that's on nothing, and that's on our dummy load going into the monitor up there, which makes life a little bit easier. So, hello, 1, 2, hello, 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 1, 2. Easily getting over 100 watts on a peak then, and I would say when we go to FM, we're going to see very, very similar. Let's just go back over here again. Hold it in. And I would guess we would have over about 100 watts. 115 watts. I was going to say, because sideband it was actually doing very, very well. So, no, very nice, very nice. Let's just put a little bit of a receive signal into it. I already know these things receive incredibly well. And what we'll do is we'll just change a couple of functions on here. And we've got 0.5 of a microvolt in there, which we're hearing awfully well. And as we come up, yeah, look, oops, sorry, back 50 microvolts there for S9, so let's get rid of that noise. So look, these are lightning hot receivers, no question. They're really that was never going to surprise anybody. These new units are exceptionally good in their ability to receive. So overall, there's not a lot to test. I mean, I could go up and down the bands, and we'll get the same sort of results as far as power and receive, etc. But I must say, just really, really top notch. Going back to antenna 2, and what we'll do is we'll sort of go back in there with amp 1 there, just to show you just how much noise is actually there at the moment. It's some incredible amounts of noise. So once again, see how you're putting up with this noise, and I can hear the thunder outside at the moment. And we run the IPO there, and we get rid of that static noise, and we just get the signal. Now, when we take that IPO off, obviously the signal comes up, but so does that static. So sometimes just remember that, just, signal's not everything. Clarity, being able to hear what it is that you're trying to listen to. But as you can see, this is getting darker and darker out here. There's a huge storm coming in, I can tell you now, which is not good because we've got to do a fair bit of work over the next few days, which requires it not to rain anyway. But just having a bit of a run around the dial here. I'm on fast VFO at the moment. So when I'm on fast VFO, you're really getting up and down that band quite fast. And of course you can go back to normal VFO, which tends to be a lot slower. Now I'm pointing to down south at the moment, so I'm not going to... oh, sorry, actually I'm not pointing anywhere. No, I'm on the wire at the moment. I just realised, no, I'm on a wire. Don't worry about that. Actually, this signal might not be too bad because... let's have a look. Let's take that IPO. Because this wire would actually be orientated reasonably to the States, but... yeah, it's probably geez, you know, S7, S9, something like that. But those static crashes are disastrous at the moment. There's no question they're things that just take all the fun out of the hobby, I can tell you. But yeah, looking good. All right, well, without going on for hours and hours, the FTDX3000, good value for money. You know, as I said, for a radio that retailed over $3,000 when it first released, certainly worth getting your hands on. They're missing, obviously, the VC tune and a few things that the FTDX101 D and MP have. But you know, really, when you start to sort of break it down, I'm not completely happy with the spectrum display on the FTDX 101 MP. I almost, let's just want to see if I'm going to make a valid statement here. Oh, come on. I had it right there for a second. That's better. Yeah, look, quite seriously, you know, it's see, hard to tell with all that static, actually. No, I won't make any comment of a comparison at the moment. I'd probably be being unfair. I probably need to have a little bit less noise and you know, some definite signals to have a look at side to side. But what I was going to say, if I was going to go anyway, I was going to say that I think I like the FTDX3000 scope a little better, only because there's a lot of activity happening on the FTDX 101 MP and D series that I reckon in a firmware update they'll probably get past and sort out. Anyway, look, great radios. If you get a chance to get your hands on one, look, actually, I do think this one's going to somebody that I know. So, look, but if you see it up for sale, sure. But I think that it won't actually be put up for sale as such, not publicly anyway. But nice radios. It's good to be able to just do a bit of a quick review on one. After owning so many of the things, I never really got the time to really, you know, sort of put the video camera on and have a bit of a look at just what they do. I'm supposed to be using this new video device to help me, you know, have a stand. But quite seriously, the stand is great, but sometimes the logistics of where it all sits and where it's all going to happen from, it's just far easier when you're doing something like this. Like if I was using two hands, you know, on the internals of the radio, sure, this stand is going to be great. I can just, you know, put it there and say, righto, fantastic. But anyway, all right, FTDX 3000. Well, there's Ron, 5MRE. A few of the boys in there.
Thank you for that. And,
you know what, they're not doing too bad with all this noise that's out there. Oh, now Colin's coming through. Let's have a quick look. I think there's some confusion. All right, I'll turn that down. No problems. All good. 73s from VK3CM, JDW229. Certainly, yeah, always been a fan of the FTDX3000. Oh, actually, I should just give one caveat emptor. I wasn't until I owned one. I used to knock them a bit before I owned one because I thought they looked a bit too plasticky. But then I owned one and I found out that, no, I'm wrong. These are very nice radios. So, yeah. So my one thing there is to always get your hands on one, play with one before you make too many comments, because yes, I did sort of maybe not have the best opinion of them initially, but no, as I said, I've had a few, and I must say, no, very impressive and great value for money. All the best. Cheers, 73s.